Wife of 25 years seems to avoid spending time with me, and I'm not sure how to fix this. I just found the podcast, and that's what brought me here. I'm using a throwaway account, and I've changed a few details to keep things anonymous. For about the last year, I, 50M, have been feeling like my wife, 48F, of 25 years doesn't want to spend any time with me. If we do spend time together, it's usually practical, like running errands. But if I suggest something one-on-one, it's almost always a no. Some examples: I asked her to go on a walk. She said she was tired from work. Later that evening, she was on the treadmill getting her steps in. A Broadway show was coming to town. I asked if she wanted to go, and she said she had heard it wasn't very good and maybe we should wait for the next one. A few weeks later, she texted me at work saying her friend had an extra ticket and she was going that night. A friend mentioned that it was too bad we couldn't use their lake cabin. I had no idea what he was talking about. It turns out he offered it to us the weekend before, and my wife told him we were busy. We weren't. I suggested watching a game together. We're both fans of the team. She said she wasn't in the mood. When I went into our room at halftime, she was asleep with the game playing on her tablet. I should add that she makes time for her friends, and we still go out with friends and spend time with our adult kids together. But if it's just the two of us, she shuts it down. I brought this up to her and told her I was feeling pretty lonely. Initially, she brushed it off and said that couples don't always do everything together. When I pressed and said we almost never do anything just the two of us, she was open to talking about it. We agreed that we both needed to try to engage more and communicate better. It's been a couple of months, and we've been taking the dogs for a walk each night. I've tried to step up my effort by initiating more in-depth conversations, buying her little gifts, and doing acts of service. Both are her love languages. Things have gotten a little better, but it still feels routine. Each night feels like a schedule of eating dinner, walking the dogs, spending 15 to 30 minutes in the same room together, and then she finds a reason to retreat. I've tried to plan a couple of dates, and to her credit, so has she, but she has found reasons to cancel or reschedule at the last minute. Finally, what drove me to posting this? We were going on a weekend trip with several other couples. Before we left, I wrote her a note telling her how much I was looking forward to spending the weekend with her and how much I appreciated and loved her. I left it in her car in the morning with some of her favorite candy. I didn't hear from her all day, and when she got home, I got a simple, "Thanks for the note, that was sweet. Are you ready to leave?" During the weekend away, when we were with our friends, she seemed happy and engaged. But when we were on our own, she wasn't interested in doing much beyond scrolling on social media. I probably set my expectations too high for the weekend, but I was really disappointed by how it all went, and it reinforced my feelings. It felt like my dating days, when I was more into someone than they were into me. I want to head off one question by saying that I don't think she is cheating. There are zero indications of that. I've also cut out a few other conversations to keep this post from being even longer, but they were similar to the initial one. Has anyone dealt with something like this? How do I even approach this again without it turning into a fight or another brush off? Edit. I want to address a recurring theme in the comments about the possibility of my wife cheating. I am as sure as a person can reasonably be that this is not the case. I'd explain more, but going into details would risk hurting the anonymity of this post. I also want to be clear that everything I've written here is from my perspective. She could absolutely write her own truthful version that includes things I did or didn't do that contributed to where we are now. She is a good person with a genuinely good heart, and no matter how things play out, I will always love her. Thank you to everyone who has offered perspectives and suggestions. You've given me some good ideas and a lot to think about. I appreciate it. Update 1. I didn't think I would have an update this soon, but after reading the replies, I decided I needed to have another talk with her. I appreciate everyone who took the time to reply. The things we discussed that weren't wrong: division of household chores, me being too needy, her carrying the social load. Thank you to everyone who brought up menopause/perimenopause and suggested I talk to my wife about it. We had a really good conversation, and she shared that she's been struggling with perimenopause. I knew it was happening, but I didn't understand the impact it was having on her day-to-day life. She's been getting, and giving, a lot of support from a group of friends who are going through the same thing, the same group of women we traveled with. A lot of her emotional energy is tied up there right now, and she hasn't shared as much with me because she's getting the support she needs from them. I'm glad she has people to lean on. She said she is physically and mentally drained a lot of the time. Most nights, she feels ready for bed right after dinner, but she doesn't usually get a good night's sleep. She's been working with her doctor to try to find some relief, but they haven't been able to find the right solution yet. Hearing all of this gave me some new insight, and I realize I have some research and learning to do so I can understand what she's experiencing and support her better. She spends a lot of her day feeling like she's acting normal when she doesn't feel normal. By the time she gets home, she doesn't have the energy to act anymore. The thought of this weekend really overwhelmed her, and once she got there, she didn't have much energy for anything beyond the group activities. Scrolling TikTok was her way to shut her brain off and recharge. She didn't really understand how everything was affecting me until I brought it up a couple of months ago, and she's really been trying since then. From her perspective, I seemed fine, and she wasn't getting the feeling that anything was wrong. I'm a pretty stoic guy most of the time, and it's very common for people to misread my mood. I can't expect my wife to read my facial expressions and body language, I need to use my words. None of this fixes our problems, and we still have things to work through together. We've both taken each other for granted, made assumptions, and haven't communicated well, and that's something we need to change. For now, we're focusing on better communication and being patient with each other, and we're planning to try a counseling session or two to see how it goes. Thank you again to everyone for the feedback, questions, and support. Edit, thanks for all the recommended resources and additional feedback. I'm feeling more hopeful than I have in a while. I won't be commenting anymore, but I really do appreciate everyone who took the time to comment on this and the original post. Final update, in my last 2 posts, which you can see in my profile, I, 50M, shared that I started feeling really lonely in my 25-year marriage to my wife, 48F, because she rarely wanted to spend one-on-one time with me, even though she still made time for friends, group outings, and family activities. I tried to reconnect through conversations, planning dates, and spending time together, but she often declined, canceled, or seemed disengaged. After posting and getting feedback, we had a deeper conversation, and she shared that she has been struggling with perimenopause, which has left her exhausted, not sleeping well, and emotionally drained. We both acknowledged that we had taken each other for granted, and while nothing was magically fixed, we planned on working on communication, patience, and trying counseling. Now for the update. A couple of months later, here's where we are. Things are better, not perfect, but better. We ended up doing a few counseling sessions, and honestly, they helped more than I expected. I went in expecting to be told I was wrong by a licensed professional, and while that did happen a little, it was really good. Having a neutral third party helped both of us talk through our perspectives and better understand each other's feelings. I've also done a lot of reading about perimenopause. I'm not an expert, but I am certain that it sucks. There are good days and bad days. When my wife needs to go to bed at 7 p.m., I let her. Sometimes it's still lonely, but I don't blame her for that loneliness anymore. Understanding what she's going through changed how I see those moments. In my first post, I talked about how most of our one-on-one time felt like practical errands. My wife explained that she didn't need help grocery shopping, she was inviting me because she wanted to spend time with me. That helped me see those outings in a much more positive way. As for the incidents where it felt like she didn't want to do things with me, that situation was partly real but also partly built up in my head. When you stack up grievances over a year without talking about them, the total feels much worse than each individual moment. That doesn't excuse poor behavior on either side, but I can acknowledge that I played a role in letting resentment build instead of addressing things earlier. We've gone on several dates over the last few months. The thing that prompted me to post this update happened last night. I've been having a rough month at work with a lot of extra hours. Last night, I texted her that I was going to be late again. She texted back saying she was sorry that I was stuck at work and told me she was making a dinner reservation for this weekend so we could catch up. Her taking that initiative really made me realize how far we've come. We've also added some practical things to help us stay connected. We have a weekly staff meeting where we go over the upcoming week, plan dinners, and talk about positives and opportunities in our relationship. It sounds cheesy, but it actually works. Since my wife tends to lose energy as the day goes on, our dinner dates have often turned into breakfast or brunch dates. We've also discovered that our local theater has movies starting as early as 9:30 a.m., which turns out to be a great date time for us. We're still figuring things out, but we're communicating better, being more intentional, and giving each other a lot more grace. Thanks again to everyone who shared advice, experiences, and resources on my last posts, even those who think every relationship problem has only 3 possible causes: cheating, about to cheat, or cheating with someone who is probably also cheating. It helped a lot.